If you create something of quality that has meaning and relevance to enough people, you can have a fantastic business.
That's Ben Branson, the entrepreneur who built the world's first non-alcoholic spirits brand.
We were growing faster than Brewdog, Fever Tree, Innocent.
Took it global and sold it for millions.
My first 1,000 bottles sold out in 3 weeks. The next 1,000 bottles are sold out in 2.5 days. The third 1,000 bottles are sold out in 30 minutes online. People were queuing outside Selfridges 8 o'clock in the morning to come and try and get their hands on it.
In this episode, Ben reveals the 3 rules for creating an exceptional product.
The way to make ideas travel, the way to build great businesses is to...
How to build a brand that can go global fast.
If you are thinking about disrupting a category or creating a new category, 2 things are really important. Number 1, there must be familiarity.
And so much more.
I mean, we wouldn't have any of this without people who thought differently. Who the fuck has created this? So I got in the front. What is the point? And he started taking his clothes off. Why would you do this? Kate Moss wanted to learn how to make non-alcoholic cocktails. I went and spent an afternoon with her. It was a life-changing amount of money. Bad fucking idea. Stupid idea.
I really hope you enjoy it. If you do, please subscribe and let's dive in. The question on everyone's lips is, how much did you sell for?
Hey Callum, welcome to the lab.
Awesome.
Come on in.
Thank you. So this is home.
This is home and work.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is like an estate, right? Or it's like a...
It's 25 acres.
25 acres.
4 acres of woodland. We're on the grounds of a monastery, Benedictine monastery from the 1100s that would have sat, or is marked out, the footprint just outside there.
Wow.
So yeah, we're just on the edge of UK's oldest village.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's heaven.
Yeah. So you built this incredible global brand, Seedlip.
Mm-hmm.
You grew it, took it global, sold it. I'd love to get into your new ventures because they are like incredible and super cool. But maybe should we start at the beginning of this story with the first product and the first brand, which is Seedlip.
Yeah, this is our little, I guess, a little show and tell table of probably the 4 most important things from the beginning.
Yeah.
First thing was this little copper still. So this is a distillation piece of equipment. Mm-hmm. It's tiny. I was growing herbs at home. I wanted to maybe do some experiments. And I'd come across basically old herbal remedies featuring in the 17th century. And this was apothecaries and alchemists who were distilling and working with lots of different herbs and spices. And so I just wanted to give it a go. This was not about creating Seedlip. This wasn't about a gap in the market. Mm-hmm. This was a hobby, a passion. And I guess I believe that the way to get good ideas is be exposed to lots of different things rather than just what your competition's doing, just what the category's doing. Go and be interested in loads of different stuff.
Yeah, cool. So this was kind of like a nerdy kind of hobby on the weekends. You come across this really interesting book and you're kind of like experimenting at home with distilling stuff?
Literally taking mint from my garden. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
A few YouTube videos, there's some drawings in this book. And I started, it was magical being able to make a liquid from a plant that smelled and tasted like that liquid. Mm-hmm. I was hooked. I just wanted to keep doing it.
Yeah. And what was the breakthrough moment where you're like, actually, I do need to make a product from this?
I can remember crystal clearly driving to London to go out for dinner in a nice restaurant in King's Cross. You sit down, people come and ask if you want to have water, sparkling still, you get the menus, I'm looking at the drinks menu, amazing cocktails, sounds great, great wine list. I'm driving, so I'm not drinking alcohol. Nothing for me. in the menu.
Yeah.
And I asked, and I wouldn't usually do this, but I did ask the waitress, have you got something that's good, that's non-alcoholic? She said, sure, we can make you something. Anyway, rest of the table overcome their lovely cocktails, nice glass of red, and there's mine, pink, tall, sweet, full of fruit juice and sugar.
Yeah, I've been there, it's awful.
And I just felt like an idiot. I was sort of embarrassed. I didn't finish it. It didn't go with the food. It didn't fit the occasion. No one else on the table was like interested in what I had other than kind of smirking and pointing out how ridiculous it was. And I left that meal driving home thinking only one thing: why is it so hard to get a decent option? Mm-hmm. I don't care why someone's not drinking alcohol. Like, why are the choices so poor? This was 2013. Mm-hmm. And then the dots began to join, and I sort of thought maybe there's something interesting in what I'm doing with this distillation. But it wasn't, oh my God, I'm going to do some big global take over the world. It was keep my day job, do this evenings and weekends, maybe take it to a farmer's market, just creep out there, start slow.
Okay, interesting. So you didn't go, I'm going to go all in on this.
Nope.
This is like, I'm going to build this on the side and see how it goes. And it's like a side project.
Absolute side project. Absolute, this will be fun to create my own liquid and create my own brand. And then I could tell my clients, pesto. I wouldn't say that I'm entrepreneurial. I wouldn't say that I've wanted to create businesses. I've got zero experience in science, distillation, liquids. I wasn't from the drinks industry. My naivety, I think, was the most important thing that I could embrace and like dine out on. As ridiculous and stressful as that felt at the time, actually not coming from drinks was massively helpful.
Yeah. The product itself, when you taste it, is amazing, but also there's so much that's gone into the brand and the story, and I think you're an exceptional brand builder.
Thank you.
The design, everything. Can we talk through like how you come up with the brand and the product itself?
Yeah. So the first thing I did was I emailed and called 500 of the best bars, restaurants, and hotels in England. And I asked them or wrote to them and said, a bit of a white lie, my friend's pregnant, we want to come for a birthday drink. What non-alcoholic options do you have? This didn't cost me anything. And the answers I got back gave me the most confidence, ironically, that I needed to do something and I needed to create Seedlip. So most people didn't reply, which I thought was pretty dreadful. A lot of people said, we can make you something on the day, which just feels a bit like an afterthought, which just feels like a bit like, yeah, we could do that, but not, yeah, of course, here are loads of great options. And then the third set of people sent me through or talked to me through their drinks list. And it was soft drinks or some horrible sweet mocktails. And so this was literally like wide open book. Nobody had great, sophisticated, grown-up options. So that was a big, very free piece of research that gave me a lot of confidence to kind of go, there's got to be an opportunity here. People are not being offered great options. In terms of the brand and the product, I am from a farming family. I do love nature, and working with quality ingredients was really, really important. I definitely broke down the psychology around going to a bar. And so, for example, the smallest words on the label are the words non-alcoholic. Mm-hmm. It's a glass bottle. It stands up beautifully on a back bar and looks part of a set of premium spirits, regardless of whether it's got alcohol in or not. So everything from like having a tall profile, choosing the right bottle, to then having great label space with which to communicate, I guess, what we were doing, down to then the name, which needed to kind of serve two purposes. One, it could literally explain that we take things from seed to lip with the botanicals that we use. And then secondly, I guess, and more below the surface, was the fact that when my family and lots of other families started farming, you would do everything by hand, and you would sow seed by hand from a basket called a seedlip. And so that, coupled with my ancestors' initials hidden in the label, all these bits of detail were so massively important to me. Not that anybody else was going to see them, necessarily know about them, but I do think if you are creating your own product, it's got to be personal, and you can put yourself into it without that having to be front and center. I'm really proud of what we did, and I'm really proud that I could build in my family's kind of heritage without that being the number one reason why I think you should drink Seedlip.
Yeah, there's something magical. You've got a Seedlip here, haven't you?
I do, yeah.
Should we have a look at one? Let's go and have a look.
So I found these. We've only got two, but I found this in an antique shop. Really heavy. They were called a Seedlip because when you literally look, it's the shape of a lip.
Yeah.
And it would carry your seed. And so, yeah, you would string this over, and then you'd literally, what they call broadcast your seeds.
Yeah.
Pretty magical. I first came across them actually in the Museum of English Rural Life in Reading.
Yeah.
They have about 12 of these. And yeah, it felt like a really good fit name-wise, I guess, meaning and substance for me.
Yeah, it's the beautiful thing about this brand, and I think for anyone watching, like, one of the biggest lessons I'm already taking away from you is the storytelling and the purity of the original vision. You know, this is something that you're playing around with.
Yep.
Distilling, experimenting at home. Then we've got your family history. Mm-hmm. We've got, like, you actually researching, looking into it, actually getting a physical seedlip.
Yes.
And all of that stuff, it just feels like beautiful kind of product creation.
I think we have this idea that in order to have sort of scalable businesses, it can't be personal.
Yeah.
And you can't have all this depth and substance and, like, why have you hidden, who cares about hiding initials in the design? But actually, to me, the beauty of a great business is that it can, and founder-led businesses, is that they are personal and there is a founder involved. And so whilst that's not the most important thing necessarily for the consumer, and in Seedlip's case, this was about what to drink when you're not drinking alcohol. That was why someone was going to buy it and why someone might be interested. Not because Ben's family were farmers and he's hidden the initials in here. But to have that level of depth, A, gave us loads of different stories we could tell. And B, when you're talking to bartenders who know about drinks, this is an expectation that there will be substance.
They can tell the story.
They can. And so, for example, even the 6 botanicals we used for the first Seedlip spice were deliberately focused around how could I simply tell my mum about it and tell a consumer really simply that there's loads of grapefruit and lemon and allspice, but I could also tell a bartender about cascarilla bark that we used to source from a family of maize farmers in the Bahamas. And they would go, oh, I've never heard of cascarilla bark before. Wow, that's really interesting. And so, but the consumer wouldn't want to know about that.
No.
So it's having layers and having substance ultimately gives you choice.
Yeah.
It gives you choice per channel, per media channel, and within your marketing mix of what stories you bring alive, when, how, and to who.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you this story about this design. We were launching Seedlip in China, and I'd never been to Shanghai. Was really excited to go. The cocktail scene there is brilliant. We'd just come off doing these events in Macau and Hong Kong. Arrived at Shanghai and someone was going to pick me up. There was a driver that was going to pick me up. So get through with my bags, see my name on a board, walk up to the guy. Great, let's go find your taxi. And he asked me to sit in the front. And I had not been to Shanghai before. I didn't know if this was part of the custom or what you usually do. So I got in the front and he started taking his clothes off.
What the hell?
And I was kind of like, sorry, what? I didn't know actually if he spoke English. I was like, oh, sorry, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, he had the Seedlip fox tattooed on his arm.
Oh my God.
He was not a taxi driver.
Wow.
He was a bartender in Shanghai.
Wow.
That had heard we were coming and launching.
Crazy.
And wanted to surprise me.
Incredible.
So yeah, definitely brilliant sense of humor. But that kind of level of, I guess, effort that you put into design, packaging, that can, mean somebody wants to permanently put that on their arm. I think it's really important.
Yeah. You've created the product, the brand. We're now taking it to market.
Yeah, so I would put bottles in this little kind of carry case, and then I would go round some of the best bars, best restaurants, and I'd turn up and I'd start talking to people. The number one key one was I was offered 15 minutes with the Selfridges buyer.
Yeah.
Dawn told me, I don't like anything without alcohol in, but I'll give you 15 minutes. And so I walked in with this carry case. I didn't even have the beautiful bottle.
Right.
I had a bottle of liquid and literally with my laptop open with some pictures, sat down, tasted her on a Seedlip and tonic, and she immediately wanted it, immediately invited other people in to try it and wanted the exclusive. And so I walked out, I can remember it really clearly. I walked out of Selfridges, I walked across the road onto Duke Street. There was a coffee shop there. I sat down to just take a moment and my inbox went boom, 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 boom. Dawn had introduced me to 5 of the best bartenders in London.
Wow.
And said, I've just tried this, you've got to meet Ben.
Wow.
So I then had 5 more meetings with the Savoy and all these top places. And I walked into the Savoy to meet Eric, who was the head bartender. And he said, I've already heard about you. I heard about you last week in Greece. And I was like, well, this industry is really small and word had started to get around. And that snowball I guess I just rolled with and just kept tipping up, turning up, and wanting to learn and see what people thought of the liquids. This was probably 6 months before launch. We obviously went into Selfridges, we kept selling out, we got into all these amazing accounts, and I hated it.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the growth. Quick one. If you're enjoying this episode and getting lots of value, I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel. It means the world to me and helps us make bigger and better episodes every time for you. And now let's get back into the episode. Let's just touch on the importance of Selfridges, because how you think about brand building is around association, right? And so you wanted to be able to sell this without having to tell people how good you thought the product was.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your approach there and kind of what you were aiming for and how can other people learn from that?
So I'd had such mixed feedback before launch. People told me I was either a genius or this was the most ridiculous idea they'd ever heard. It would never sell a bottle and there was no point in me doing it. And so I was constantly in this sort of push-pull confusion of, is this any good? Is this needed? I don't know. Sometimes I thought it was a dreadful idea. Sometimes I thought it was a game-changing idea. But when it came to then standing there in Selfridges, and if you're launching a product or you've got a product, there is absolutely nothing better than standing in front of the public and seeing what they think. And so I stood there every day for 3 weeks. And I met lots of different people and we sold lots of bottles, but I also made a lot of people angry.
Yeah.
So I had this one guy that came up to me with already, what's this?
Yeah.
Already like I'm slightly on the back foot. And I was learning how to talk about Seedlip to the public. I was learning what messages worked, what didn't. So I explained that this was a distilled non-alcoholic spirit. Would he like to try a Seedlip and tonic? And he just looked at me with absolute disgust. What is the point of this? Can I swear?
Yeah.
Who the fuck has created this? Why the fuck would you work for a company that makes this? What is the point? Why would you do this? And I'm there kind of just going, well, it's my company.
Wow.
And I was really struck by the power that an inanimate object could have. I was really struck by how ingrained alcohol is in our culture. That means that something that doesn't have alcohol in could be so threatening to somebody, to elicit such a strong reaction. You know, and and that was in Selfridges, that's in a nice place with full context. But I've definitely held on to the worst bits of feedback that I've had. And the guy who said on Twitter, Seedlip tastes like witch's piss, will be forever imprinted in my memory because it kept my feet on the floor. And I think when you're trying to build a brand and a product that's premium and that is different or new, you know, we spent a lot of time taking our associations and the company we kept and our customers really, really seriously. So being featured in the right publications, being at the right events, being endorsed by the right people, being in the right bars, being in the right restaurants, being in the right retailers, which ultimately meant we never had to say that we thought Seedlip was brilliant. Because we were relying on the fact that if you go to the Fat Duck, you walk in...
That's Heston Blumenthal's restaurant, right?
Heston Blumenthal's restaurant, one of the early stockists.
Is that two Michelin star?
That's three Michelin star. Or Tom Kerridge's Hand and Flowers, 2 Michelin star, 2 of our first accounts. You are walking in there expecting to be absolutely entertained, delighted, and that everything is going to be absolutely first class. So therefore, if you're presented something new in a situation where you're in one of these amazing venues, by just automatically you're going to be thinking that this is going to be good. Otherwise, they're not going to serve anything rubbish. And so, yeah, we wanted to be judged by the company we keep. It's a model that I'm still using today with our new brands. It works. And there's this idea of halo and habit. So we started at the top. Because guess what? The section of bars, restaurants, retailers who are not 3 Michelin star restaurants look to the 3 Michelin star restaurants for what's good and what's coming up.
Clever.
And all the way down, so that the average kind of pub group is looking to the nice cocktail bar group. The nice cocktail bar group is looking to the best bar in the world. And so you have this trickle down effect that I can tell you hand on heart works. And we then replicated that model in 35 countries around the world.
Yeah.
Which meant actually only 1,000 people mattered. Only a few hundred accounts initially mattered, because the best bar in the city, the best restaurant, the best hotel, and the best retailer, you get into those, you get the keys to the city.
Incredible framework. That is something that someone can take and replicate in any niche, any industry, isn't it?
Across any category, it doesn't matter food and drink. I think you're starting from influence. You're starting from basically beg, borrow, and stealing credibility. And obviously, if you've got a product that is good enough and that is enjoyed and liked, then adopting that strategy and staying really focused on it, instead of some of the received wisdom that says, oh, no, you've got to go narrow and really deep. So stay in the UK for 5 years before you think about export. We were first, the category was just starting, and the best bars, restaurants, hotels in the world, they all talk to each other. We can do that via social now. We can all see what everyone else is up to. And so, no, I don't want the best bar in Hong Kong to wait 5 years. They already want it. I heard from 100 countries in 90 days.
Wow, insane.
So you get a good thing that can travel, and yeah, with how connected we all are now, even though it's a physical product, the word can travel.
Incredible. Where does the growth trajectory take place? Are you sat at your desk here?
I spent 600 days out of the UK in 3 years. I was doing a lot of traveling, and that was pretty brutal.
Yeah, because basically you're the fastest growing company in this segment ever, right? Quicker than Fever Tree, Innocent, Hendrix.
We were growing faster. In our first 3 years, we were growing faster than Brewdog, Fever Tree, Innocent, Hendrix. It was fast, and it was relentless, and that meant, I was on a plane a lot, and it was pretty stressful.
Yeah, it's super interesting though. You just said that 6 months was super intense, and you basically hated it, right?
Yeah, I was on my own, number one, and that's quite lonely and difficult. And secondly, I had a plan. I had a really amazing plan. And ultimately, my plan was that my first 1,000 bottles were going to sell in 6 months. So that meant, God, I've spent 2 years creating this. Now it's launched. Let me learn what the hell a business is. Let me learn what a drinks business does. Let me just feel my way through this. The market, I guess, said, no, sorry. The 1,000 bottles that you've made are sold out in 3 weeks. The next 1,000 bottles are sold out in 2.5 days. The third 1,000 bottles are sold out in 30 minutes online.
Wow.
People were queuing outside Selfridges at like 8 o'clock in the morning to come and try and get their hands on it.
It's incredible.
And I was not prepared for that, number one, because the plan went out the window. And ultimately I had to 7 to 10 times scale production within the first 3 months.
Wow.
Which was kind of wild, and find investment and find employees and an office and scale everything really fast. Secondly, it hadn't quite dawned on me what this founder thing is. So I wanted to be behind the scenes. I wanted to concentrate on the product, concentrate on, loving nature and testing stuff. But actually, rather naively realized, oh, well, this is my company, and I've put all of me into it, and therefore people are maybe interested to talk to me about that, and I have to. Who else is going to talk about it? So there was suddenly this whole. I was invited to Buckingham Palace, and I'm just like, what is going on here? I don't like this.
What's the lowest moment in all that? Are you just kind of every day being pulled pillar to post, and you're kind of burnt out, knackered, tired, and yet on the face of it, you're having all this success?
Yeah.
It's a strange thing to deal with psychologically.
It was, I found it really difficult, and I did genuinely want to close the business every week. I did want to stop. And that gradually moved from a day a week to a day a month. And that was good. That was a good sign to me and ultimately thinking that you want to stop, thinking that you want to give up, and thinking that you want to close the business are very different from taking the action to do that. And so I'm not my thoughts, and I didn't act on my thoughts. I kept going.
Yeah.
And I didn't close the business.
Yeah.
See, I guess this is where they say the magic happens. This is the lab. This is kind of, in some ways, our playground.
Yeah.
In some ways, this is where, we are testing and trialing, hundreds of different varieties of wood and cereal. Yeah, it's a place of experimentation and also production.
Yeah. A lot of kind of entrepreneurs and marketers out there will say one of the ways to build a great business and sell it like you did, and we'll get into the details of the sale later and how much you sold it for, is be first in a market or jump on a trend. It's very easy to say that. It's very hard to time it.
Yep.
And you were the first non-alcoholic spirits brand.
Yep.
And today there's got to be thousands of those, right?
There are, I mean, you've got nothing to drink in 2015. Beck's Blue had launched.
Yeah.
And then there were juices and soft drinks and sparkling water. You've now got a category that's going to hit 30 billion probably this year, is global. And you've got well over 1,000 new brands in it, which is, yeah, it's wild and still only about 2% of alcohol, right? So you think about the headroom there is enormous, and that actually this category is just getting started.
Yeah. How should people think about parallel movements and entering a new market or trying to create a new market and then breaking it? What are your thoughts there? I've heard you talk about technologies coming 100 years ago or products coming 100 years ago, then having a moment, and now they're really having a moment.
Yeah, so the free from idea is pretty interesting. And when you apply that, when you look at that, as I've done across cars, tobacco, dairy, meat, alcohol, it's beautiful. It was a beautiful moment when it all joined up. Basically, to give you the headlines, over 100 years ago, we had the first electric car, we had the first electric cigarette, we had the first alcohol-free beer, we had the first dairy-free milk, we had the first meat-free sausage. Over 100 years ago. Then what happened is, obviously they didn't get any traction. So then what happened, about the 70s, we started to get corn, vegetarian kind of soy-based meat product. We got things like Alpro. We had the Prius launch, which wasn't electric, but was kind of dual fuel, was sort of starting to take into that sustainability of energy fuels being used. We had those electric cigarettes that looked like cigarettes. Before then we had vapes, etc., of where we are now. And so and we had Beck's Blue launch, which is an alcohol-free beer. And so I would call those kind of the incumbents. So they are the bigger, slower, heavier, been around for ages, maybe not the best quality. And then you fast forward and suddenly you've got what I would call the insurgents. So you've got someone like Athletic Brewing, biggest new non-alcoholic beer brand in the world. They've raised $250 million and absolutely killed it. They launched after Seedlip. You've got Tesla. You've got Oatly's, and you've got all these kind of amazing, fast-growing, modern, relevant, meaningful brands. And I think that's really interesting when you are thinking about an idea for a product, or you're thinking about a category that might be maybe a bit underleveraged, maybe dusty, maybe in need of a bit of a refresh. Because I love history, and I also think when you're standing up and telling the story of why your product makes sense, being able to give some of the lineage of what's happened before that might help predict some of the future, I think is pretty interesting. And I guess just the fact that nothing's actually new. That we have, I don't believe in originality. I do believe that everything is a combination of everything else.
Yeah.
And so I do believe that the way you get great ideas is by exposing yourself to lots of different interesting things.
Yeah. And how do you think about that, or what was that like? Because if you're first, do you feel stupid because you're having to raise awareness, spend most of your time educating the buyers and the public on why there's a need for this product, versus now, if you enter the market, the education has probably already been done. What's that like? Do you think there's a good time to time it? Is it best to be first? Is it best to enter late? And how do you have kind of conviction that there is a need for this and it's the right time for it and I'm on the right track? Or is there a degree of luck as well, maybe?
There's definitely a degree of luck. I think to give you a really good example, early days of Seedlip, I could spend an hour with a buyer or a bartender, and most of that hour, and these could be like, the best buyers, the best bartenders, most of that hour would actually be focused not on Seedlip. Most of that hour would be educating about the need, educating about the fact that people are moderating their alcohol intake, etc. And then it would get to talking about Seedlip. Now, I walk into a meeting with Sylva, with our new brand, and I don't need to do any of that education. And so when you are first, unfortunately or fortunately, you are having to do every single job of the category. So you're having to establish the pricing of the category and why that price makes sense. You're having to establish the language of the category and how that makes sense to customers or consumers. You're having to do all of these jobs. Whereas now, when you've got a category that's got loads of non-alc beer, wine, spirits, you've got loads of non-alcoholic cocktails in bars and hotels, you can focus more on your positioning, your brand, your liquid, how that might be relevant. And so I think if you are thinking about disrupting a category or creating a new category, two things are really important. Number one, there must be familiarity. So, for example, Seedlip's in a glass bottle. You make a Seedlip and tonic in the same way you'd make a gin and tonic, so the behavior's the same. It's called a non-alcoholic spirit. There's a sense of newness, but a sense of familiarity there. That's really important. Don't throw everything out. Don't create something that's too weird. The freedom bit meant we didn't have to try and taste like gin. We didn't add juniper, for example, as a botanical. We didn't have to do things in the way that alcohol did them. So one of Seedlip's best performing types of customers in the first 18 months was garden centres. Not an obvious choice, but we're a nature company. We were focused on people who love nature. We were focused on, I guess, amplifying the truth about our product, which was these gorgeous botanicals. And so we thought actually that garden centres where people are driving, always, we thought we'd get a great audience there. And we did. And we did lots of sampling in garden centres. We then went on to design 2 gold medal winning gardens for Chelsea Flower Show, which were by far and away the 2 best activations we ever did at Seedlip in terms of return on investment. So yeah, I think you've got to balance this freedom and familiarity. You must balance this aspect of freedom and familiarity if you are creating something new. Don't throw it all out and do something totally radical. You've got to find these safety points, I would call them, these hooks of reference, where someone goes, I sort of know what to do with that. I sort of know when I might use that, rather than I've got absolutely no idea, you've totally thrown everything out, I don't know what I'm doing, and therefore I'm not buying, I'm not engaging. So yeah, it's a really delicate balance. We're doing the same with Sylva and aged non-alcoholic spirits. We're not trying to taste like a whiskey, but we are in that occasion. You do sip it neat. It has grain and wood, and you've got those codes. But we're also doing something completely new with completely different flavor profiles and disrupting maturation processes and everything else. So yeah, getting that balance of freedom and familiarity when you are disrupting a category, I think is really important.
Yeah. And I think probably one of the big advantages in being acquired by Diageo, and probably one of the things that attracted them, is that you were first and you did smash it. You created an amazing product. You had this crazy growth. Should we go to the woods, your woods, to the oak tree and talk about this a little bit?
Let's go.
how do you go from just you to more people and think about hiring? Like there was one requirement, wasn't there, for the team?
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of a man called David Hyatt. He was founder of Howie's Jeans and then set up Hyatt Denim. And he basically said his company was an ideas company that made jeans. Mm-hmm. And I loved that shift of it not just being about the product and being about something a bit bigger or a bit more.
Yeah.
And so rather grandiosely, we always called Seedlip a nature company that made drinks.
Yeah.
And Sylva is a tree company that makes drinks. We kind of, it elevated what we were doing. And so naturally, when it came to attracting talent and finding and building a team, we were looking for people who, regardless, I didn't care whether they drank alcohol or not. In fact, most of our team did drink alcohol. This was far more about, do you love nature?
Yeah.
And if nature's important to you, and our interview questions for people I didn't care about tell me when you did X, Y, and Z at your previous job or your CV. I cared what tree you liked, and I cared what your favorite animal was. That was an opportunity to learn way more about somebody based on the psychology around what animal they chose and why, or what plant they would be, versus kind of that sort of corporate rudimentary set of tell me about an experience or a time when you did in your job.
Yeah, that's really, really powerful, isn't it? It almost makes me think of Patagonia there as well. Like
Yeah.
there's kind of like those brands where the identity and everything, it just transcends everything they do as well. What they're interested in and their beliefs. And so did you have success? Was that successful, or were there disasters along the way? Because I love nature, but I'm totally incompetent.
Do you know what? For the most part, by being a nature company and attracting people that love nature meant, for example, we had a head of nature, and our head of nature used to run Chelsea Flower Show.
Wow.
He had no idea about the drinks industry.
Yeah.
Our marketing executive, Liam, had been doing a PhD on cacao.
Wow.
And so we just opened the field in terms of getting really rich talent, of basically having lots of naive people who weren't coming with lots of drinks industry baggage, who could take risks and try things and learn and not be blinkered. And so if anybody's listening or watching and thinking about hiring and how you build a great high performing team, I do think being able to be really clear on what kind of company are we, what kind of talent do we want to attract? Because guess what? People in the world do not spend their time walking around thinking about drinks. They don't. People don't go out to drink drinks brands, they go out to have a good time.
Yeah.
And so tapping into people's values and identity beyond the product, that's more about purpose, that's more about, values and identity, definitely served us really well. Definitely meant we could get really, really good talent, really great team. And then you flow that through. And so we flowed being a nature company all the way through to whether it be doing litter picks as a team, something a little bit pithy, to closing the business every August for a week, closing down and paying people to go on holiday.
Wow.
And the only requirement was that time was spent in nature.
That's incredible.
I did it though, not because I thought it was some genius kind of company culture thing. I did it because I needed a break.
Yeah.
And I needed a break when everybody took a break. So you get that Christmas period where everyone's off and it kind of feels like everybody can switch off. Well, I wanted that feeling, but then the second feeling of when everybody comes back together. Because October, November, December is the busiest time in drinks. And so by everybody going away for a week at the same time in August meant everybody came back absolutely fired up for the autumn and the winter. It worked really well.
That's incredible. How did you incentivize your team?
So I gave 20% of the company to the team. So everybody had options in the business. and you had options whether you joined right at the beginning or just before we exited. And one thing was really, really important to me. It didn't matter how senior you were. The people that got the most were the people that joined the earliest. And that, I've not seen people do it that way before, because typically you want to attract some big talent or a senior person, you want to give them the biggest options. Actually, no, I kind of totally disagree with that. It was based on time, because the earlier you join, the bigger risk you're taking. You're joining nearer the end and you're a big senior person. Well, lots has been established, lots has been set up, you're coming in at a different stage of the business. Those early employees, and I'm doing a similar principle now with my new team, where the people in at the beginning are the people who get the most.
Wow.
They're the people who are going to do it the longest. They're the people who are taking the biggest risk. They're the people that need to be rewarded the most.
Incredible. And I presume you get a much better output from people and a commitment when they've got a piece of the pie.
I think so. I think it's creating a shared alignment. And the other thing was, this was very transparent. Everybody knew that there were options for everybody. Not to the level of everybody knows what everybody might get, but definitely it was part of my kind of, I guess, narrative back to the business of, we're all on the same pathway here. We're all aligned. We all want this to be a success, because we all get to benefit if it is.
Cool. What have we got here?
These are our 3 Berkshire gilts, so 3 sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the most endangered species in the UK. They're a English breed.
Yeah.
Don't touch the fence.
It's electric.
It is electric. But yeah, these 3 will have piggies next summer.
Wow. What do you call this place? An estate, a farm?
I don't really know. I kind of, maybe an estate. It's sort of part. I mean, it originally was an estate, which sounds very grand and formal. It's 25 acres. I mean, we've got livestock here. We've got a forest. We've got a river. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't really know how I talk about it. I guess it's sort of homework.
It's pretty
larder.
Special. How do you feel about it? I presume this came after the sale?
Yeah, so we exited Seedlip, or the majority of Seedlip was sold summer of 2019. And three really important things to say on it, nothing to do with actually selling it. Number one, so leading up to the sale, one of my shareholders died.
Oh my God.
And they were a family friend. They were a business partner of my father's for 40 years. And that, is A, dreadful.
Yeah.
And B, creates actually quite a few legal complications.
Yeah.
So that wasn't great. Second thing that happened was, we don't know how, but a sample of Seedlip, or a sample of Seedlip's liquid somewhere, had been tested for alcohol content.
Oh, wow.
And they'd found it was like 10% ABV.
Wow.
We don't believe it was Seedlip's liquid. Anyway, but when you're in an acquisition process,
yeah, it's not great.
That's the kind of thing that can send alarm bells running.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was all fine. The third thing was, my wife was 8.5 months pregnant. And so we did the deal with Diageo on the 7th of August, 2019. 9 days later, my daughter River was born.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big moment for so many different reasons.
Yeah, incredible.
But pretty stressful.
Yeah, a crazy period. How do you come to that decision to sell? Like,
So in our case, we'd taken investment through Diageo's accelerator called Distill Ventures. So in the drinks industry, a few of these sort of accelerator incubator type outfits were setting up, and basically how it worked was Diageo funded the accelerator that funded the startups. And there were pre-agreed volume triggers or value triggers and exits. Seedlip was twice as fast as the industry norm and twice as big.
Wow.
So that was amazing. But we had a goal, we had a target for exit, which my team all knew, which made us very aligned, very focused, which was great. And so we hit our trigger, and that triggered the acquisition process with Diageo.
Right.
So it was very open.
So that's because they've taken a small stake, and then as part of that stake, it's agreed that when you hit these volumes, we'll talk about acquiring you.
Exactly.
I guess the key difference was most companies get acquired if they're lucky in 7 to 10 years, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
Yours was like 3 years, right?
Yeah, we were 3.5. And
so what's that process like, deciding to sell your company?
So my thinking, and I did think about it a lot.
Did you have a choice, by the way? Or it's like, actually, because of that pre-agreement, we've got to sell this?
I did have a choice, but I also had thought about it so much that I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
My thinking was this: I want to change the way the world drinks. I'm really good at the beginning. I'm really good at starting stuff. I'm not good at scaling stuff. Therefore, I need a partner, and I need somebody who knows about making things big, about global scale. Diageo, perfect partner. World's biggest premium spirits company, business in 170 countries, like FTSE 4, proper brand builders, Guinness, Johnny Walker, like iconic stuff.
Yeah.
And so I guess the deal I did with myself was, I've got to do my bit, and then Diageo are going to do their bit. And so the lesson really from all of that is, A, know what you're good at. B, forget any of this selling out stuff that you kind of might hear, or that kind of narrative. And ultimately be really, really clear on who the right strategic partner could be in the future, that's going to deliver, ironically, the outcome that you want beyond just selling a business. And so changing the way the world drinks, I was really clear I couldn't do on my own, and thought the best fit would be an alcohol company who knew about cocktails, knew about bars, had all the distribution. And so for the first 3.5 years in that relationship with Diageo, they provided the capital and let us get on with it. And that was amazing, because we got to go and make the mistakes and learn and prove and build the business. And ultimately we kept coming back with really great results. So they kept saying, keep going.
Yeah. And the question on everyone's lips is, how much did you sell for?
Cannot tell you.
But I'm assuming it was a lot of money, millions of pounds?
It was a life-changing amount of money, and it was an amount of money that meant obviously giving 20% to my team. Someone bought an engagement ring. Someone put a deposit down for a house. Like really meaningful stuff. And lots of those people have gone on to start their own business, which is what I wanted. Lots of those people have gone on to join other startups and fast-growing businesses in what I would call modern or alternative industries.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I'm in a position where, wow, it's really windy. I'm in a position where I've been able to build a distillery, go back to the beginning, and set up new brands. This is an oak tree, an English oak tree, and it's probably been here for 500 to 600 years. You can see here this char, it was hit by lightning. Oak trees of this size will be home to over 2,300 different species.
Wow.
And an oak tree of this size can probably produce enough oxygen for 100 people for a year.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. The badgers were making their burrows underneath it. We've got woodpeckers who've kind of born into it and made nests. Yeah, brilliant, wonderful, iconic symbol of I don't know, Englishness and, yeah, forests and trees. Firstly, we share up to 50% of our DNA with trees.
Yeah.
Trees do so many things that humans do that we don't even realize. They communicate, they heal, they breathe, they reproduce. They are pretty magical kind of things. And there's 73,000 tree species on the planet.
Wow.
To put that in context, that's nearly twice as many as the number of edible plants there are. And I know, and I'm learning, that they're full of flavor, and nobody has explored that.
Yeah, because that's your new products. They lean heavily into trees and what trees produce.
Yeah, it's all about taking the amazing flavor from trees to make liquids that you can sip.
Yeah, so let's go back to your new labs to have a look at those products, because they're super innovative and I think they're going to blow people's minds.
Yep.
But maybe should we stop by the river on the
Yep.
way and just talk about your experience with ADHD and autism?
3 years ago, so 2022, when I went for an autism assessment,
Yeah.
I had no idea what that meant. I'd never heard the word neurodiversity before. I'd always, I guess, thought my brain's a bit different,
Yeah.
but I didn't know why, and I didn't know really what that meant. And I had such limited beliefs and understanding about ADHD, autism, dyslexia, Tourette's. I didn't know it was 20% of the world.
Wow.
I didn't know it was 1.8 billion people
Crazy.
as of today's statistics. And I guess I also didn't know that 94% of autistic kids are bullied at school,
Wow.
and that 85% of children diagnosed dyslexic are really ashamed of it.
Wow.
Or the suicide rates, the divorce rates, the prison rates, the unemployment rates. I had no idea that actually there were such dreadful statistics. But I also had no idea that so many of my heroes were neurodivergent.
Yeah. Who was neurodivergent?
I mean, well, we can't say for sure people like Isaac Newton and Einstein, but
Yeah.
Agatha Christie, Hans Christian Andersen, Steven Spielberg, Muhammad Ali, Marilyn Monroe, Steve Jobs. I mean, literally, we wouldn't have the airplane,
Yeah.
the light bulb, electricity, whether you like it or not, the screens that we use,
Yeah.
films like Jaws,
Yeah.
you know, The Ugly Duckling as a book.
Yeah, yeah.
We wouldn't have Mickey Mouse. I mean, we wouldn't have any of this without people who thought differently. And so I wanted to kind of close the gap and tell the truth, I guess, to catch society up in its understanding that there are loads of people with different brains. In fact, every single person on the planet has a different brain. No two brains are the same. Some just diverge a bit more away from what we call, quote unquote, the norm. So I started the charity, The Hidden 20%, January 2024. And again, I looked back to history to find the model. So I looked at all of the amazing social change campaigns, Black Lives Matter, the Poppy, all the stuff that's been done on the Paralympics, Jamie's school dinners, climate change, Me Too, Pride. I looked at all of those and tried to decode how they've basically been able to work and make change. And it's actually really, really simple. If you find a cause or something to believe in that has a large population of people, number one, brilliant. i.e. you've got reach in terms of you've got a big audience, great. If there can be a real message and meaning from that, amazing. If you use media, then you can make it travel. And if you have brilliant spokespeople, which means a mixture of celebrities and experts, then you can give voice to that message for that audience and make change. And so that was the theory. We set up, so we wanted to create a neurodiversity charity that was media-led. So started a podcast and started inviting some guests on. had no idea whether people were going to listen, had no idea what we were doing. I'd never created a digital product before.
Yeah.
And I know I said to you before when we've spoken, my God, it's so liberating when you've got something that's not physical.
Yeah.
It can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And it can go anywhere instantly. Fast forward, Hidden 20%, listened to in 120 countries, community of 175,000 people, winner of Best Interview at the Podcast Awards last year, reaching 2-3 million people a week with our content.
And you've got these incredible people like Heston Blumenthal on there talking about what his experience has been.
Yeah, the mixture of guests of having, famous people, Kit Harington and Cary Grant and Heston Blumenthal talking about their brains, some of the world's leading experts in autism or ADHD or dyslexia, and then just people with fascinating stories. The guy, Kenton Cool, who's climbed, he's the world's leading climber of Mount Everest 20 times or whatever. So pulling out some of these amazing stories of people's lived experience, as well as busting the myths, breaking down the stereotypes, and telling the truth that it's not all bad.
Yeah.
It's not all good either, but there are amazing skills and assets and contributions that can come from creating environments in which people with different brains can thrive.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for you then, because you were diagnosed autistic and ADHD.
Correct.
What does that make you really good at? And how has that helped you on this journey?
So the things that I guess I'm good at are my senses are very, very acute.
Right.
So I've got...
so interesting.
So I've got really good hearing.
Yeah.
I've got really good taste and smell.
Handy.
Which is really handy, as I've learnt. I also, and I haven't kind of gone for a proper assessment for this, but there's a high proportion of autistics that are synesthetes. So synesthesia is where your senses get a bit confused. So for example, I see taste and flavour as colour.
Yeah.
My dad sees every single day of the week and year as a different colour. So it's where some of these, Joe Malone, for example, is a synesthete, which has obviously really helped her with creating amazing perfumes. So that's recent kind of understanding, but that's good. I'm really good at attention to detail, but then I'm ADHD as well, and so I can really see the bigger picture. And it means I can delve between sort of a fixed mindset, where being autistic, I love routine, I love structure, I love logic, I like plans, I like strategy. And then being ADHD, I like just fucking get on with it.
Yeah.
And
it's a pretty potent combination.
See the bigger picture.
So if someone's listening to this and they want to understand if they're neurodivergent, what's the best next step? Because I imagine as soon as you know this and then you can start to recognize those things, you can maybe lean into them a bit better.
Yeah, I think I am learning to try and harness the good bits of my brain.
Yeah.
And not necessarily improve the challenges,
yeah,
but certainly not give myself such a hard time for them. And not necessarily, it's a bit like, for example, if one of my daughters is really bad at maths, but really amazing at art, history would tell you that you've got to get a tutor for the maths.
Yeah.
My approach is let's do more art.
Yeah, tutor for the art.
Exactly. So I think understanding, if you're listening and you're thinking, oh, I sound a bit like this guy, or I think a bit like this. And by the way, it was through a podcast and listening to founders talking about their brains that I even thought maybe my brain's a bit different. Have a look into it. Listen to the Hidden 20%. Do a bit of research. Talk to people. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And being assessed and told that I was autistic changed everything and nothing. but I've never been kinder to myself because I know how my brain works. And that is, yeah, that's everything. I've never been more myself because I now understand how my brain works than historically. And I've never been more able to say, no, I don't want to do that, or I can't do that, or I do want to do that. So yeah, it's definitely allowed me to be probably a bit more comfortable in my own skin, and also able to go, actually, this is how I work, and this is how I best work. And so where work's concerned, I attract neurodivergent people into my business and my charity. And there is nothing like having an open forum and culture where you can get the best out of people's brains and adjust how you work to get the best out of them. That is really, really powerful. And I think we need, in a world where everything's competitive, we're fighting for people's attention, having different brains in a room on a team is massively powerful. And I think one of the most underestimated economic advantages within business today.
Incredible.
This, by the way, is my favorite tree.
What tree is this?
This is a black walnut tree. So this is one of the most expensive woods in the world.
Wow.
I'm just trying to see if I can get any of the fruit for you to smell, because it is absolutely incredible.
We're also on a train track here, so I want to just touch on the train track. You've got your own train track.
This is the guy who used to live here,
Right.
who thought it'd be a really good idea. Let's see if I can pull this one down. Okay, give that a smell. Give that fruit there a smell.
Oh yeah.
Can you get it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible.
Like full on.
Yeah. I'm excited to share that this episode is made by my own content agency, 7xcontent.com. If you'd like to create content like this, then you can apply to work with us at the link in the description. Now, let's get back into the episode.
So this is cherry wood from here.
Incredible.
Apple wood.
So this is what?
This is Sylva. This is a limited release aged non-alcoholic spirit using grain and wood.
The smell is incredible, isn't it? The smell is incredible. You get that same experience.
Yeah, it's so much cherry on the nose.
It's wonderful.
We basically have, invented a distillation and maturation process that means we can get all this amazing character and flavor from wood into something that you can sip neat in a kind of whiskey occasion without having to try and replicate whiskey.
Yeah. So this is super interesting because you've already cracked the first non-alcoholic spirit brand. You've sold it. What is your thinking coming back to scratch the itch? You said when we were over there at the beginning that you went through a lot of pain and you hated it.
Yeah.
For that first 6 months.
Yeah.
Why start again?
Yeah, I asked myself the same question quite a lot. Firstly, you'll notice I like things with S's. My wife's called Sam, Seedlip, Sylva, another brand we've got called Seasn. This is a project that began for me before Seedlip. This is a project that began because of a consultancy project I was doing in Kentucky and getting to work with this incredible inventor called Ty Tyler, who developed alternative maturation techniques for bourbon. And that sowed a huge seed. Seedlip was all about botanicals and kind of gin, vodka, tequila, white spirit type serves and occasions. Sylva is playing into that $26 billion global super premium aged spirits category. And it's playing into the fact that within non-alcoholic spirits currently, the dark ones are poor. And again, I looked to decode what makes a super premium aged spirit really popular and successful. And it's really simple things. Most of them make the product themselves. We have a distillery where we make Sylva. Most of them, well, all of them, use grain and cereal. We distill grain and cereal here. They will use wood and a maturation process. We do that in our own way too. They all have people behind, people, they have a sense of provenance and place, and they're obviously dark liquids. In non-alc, that sounds really basic and really simple and very simplistic, but in the dark non-alc sector of non-alcoholic spirits, that doesn't happen. And so we wanted to build basically a way of learning and experimenting with different trees that are full of flavor, using a modern process to make liquids that you can kind of sip and slow down with. And I think in this world that's so fast and so supersonic and so sped up, there's a great opportunity to have something midweek that you could take a moment with and switch off with. And yeah, I'm very happy that we've started a tree company that makes drinks.
Let's go and see where you make this.
Let's go through. So Callum, this is our wood room. These are lots of the different species that we have here on site. Lots of things people will recognize: pine, hazel, fir, oak, sweet chestnut. And then we're going through a process of preparing our woods and turning them into wood chips. And so, I mean, you can see.
Yeah, wow.
Plum wood. I think we're going to have smoked cherry wood somewhere, which is absolutely, yes, get your nose in that.
Wow, yeah, it's really special.
So that is, that's cherry wood that we've taken from here. And we have then smoked the cherry wood using cherry wood.
Wow. What will be different this time round, like versus the first time? What would be the things you're going to do that are going to save you a lot of stress and a lot of time?
So 2 things that were interesting about Seedlip when it launched. Number 1, it did not launch a D2C site.
Interesting.
I didn't buy anything online back then. I was really against it, real dinosaur. I think it took us maybe 15 months before Seedlip started selling online from its website. Sylva, D2C straight away. And actually, all of our customers and consumers with Sylva are direct. We supply over 30 Michelin-star restaurants, Selfridges, all these luxury stores directly. No wholesaler, no middleman.
Wow.
And you can obviously buy it from the website. So being D2C first, or whatever the right phrase is, you can buy it through our website. It's accessible in that sense. Second thing I did was I put my mobile number on Seedlip's website. Bad fucking idea. Stupid idea. Absolutely stupid idea. I have not done that this time with Sylva. Different this time is, yes, we know a bit more. And we have a great network and we know who to talk to. We know how the drinks industry works. We know the language. We know what the acronyms mean. We know how value chains work. We know lots. And so ironically, this time, and I have a small, very experienced team. So very different to last time, where we actually didn't have lots of expertise within the business because that naivety was really important. Now, our challenge is bringing naivety in and making sure that as a company and as a brand, we are trying things. We are doing things sometimes just because. We have a Slack channel called You Never Know. And that is a really important channel that means, with the 100 years of drinks experience that I have in my small team, that we aren't complacent and that we aren't just doing things because that's how they've always been done. And so when I think about people listening and watching, having that right makeup of understanding when you need experience and expertise, when you actually need fresh, new naivety, and it's not binary, it's not either or, and it depends on the stage of business you're at. I've chosen to hire more senior people with a much smaller team and focus on experts, because I think that's how we can maybe do things more efficiently.
Yeah.
Rather than have a big team of more inexperienced people.
Yeah. One of the other things that struck me with Seedlip that maybe you'll do differently this time is the storytelling and literally selling the sawdust of you like creating this, because it feels just so rich in the story. And I think maybe with Seedlip, were you much more scared of showing the world what you're doing and keeping everything under NDAs, worried that people would steal your idea? Talk to people about that, because that's a common one that I hear a lot is, I don't want to tell anyone because they'll steal my idea and they'll take my business.
And it's a common one I hear from lots of founders, which is great. People starting out, they're cagey, you know? And I get it, I really understand it, because you've got something that's yours and you don't want anyone else to copy it, and etc. I think this is not my first time around, and so with Sylva, I wrote a post on LinkedIn the other day. Here's how we make Sylva. Like, I'm not telling people the absolute ins and outs and detail and intellectual property, but I am being much more transparent. And I think with Sylva, we could just be a research company. We could have a load of PhD students all focused on understanding the flavor and aromatic properties of wood of thousands of species around the world. We could do that and never release a product. But the way we've designed it is we are doing limited releases. So this year we will release 5 different releases. Our first release sold out December last year. Our second release sold out. We've just launched our third release that is 50% sold and another 25% allocated. So we're going back into production.
Wow.
And that was only last week that we launched it.
Crazy.
And so we are using this limited release model to test and learn.
That's a really interesting model, isn't it?
It basically means we've got an opportunity to buy some time, but build live.
Yeah.
Rather than spend 2 years creating the perfect product, not knowing what's going to happen, and then releasing it. We are the first people in the world to do this. And so that first mover advantage is pretty important. And we want to sort of hold on to with an appropriate amount of kind of pace and urgency.
How important is the community in that early stage in those first customers? I remember with Seedlip, you had the couple where I think the husband had cancer. Like, how important are those early relationships with customers?
The best, I love Slack, because we one of the things that really worked with Seedlip that I am absolutely doing again is we banned internal email. No internal email. I haven't done internal email for 10 years now. Everything's done on Slack. And so we have another channel on Slack called Sylva Feedback. And it's the best channel. And I'm enjoying that I'm sharing, this lady in America who bought a bottle of Sylva, loved it, immediately bought 3 more. Brilliant. I'm also enjoying the potential investor that said, I didn't get it. I didn't really like it. It's important that you kind of keep the feet on the floor as much as it's great hearing how people love it or how wonderful it is. So I think, having that kind of constant loop is important for people, is important for the team. Early on with Seedlip, this couple, two people spring to mind. Firstly, we kept getting orders from something that looked a bit like something to do with Kate Moss.
Yeah.
And literally like buying cases at a time. This is when we were selling D2C. And so obviously you've got an email address. We sort of
katemoss@gmail.com.
Yeah,
maybe
quite simple. It was her agent.
Okay.
And we got in contact, who's buying all this stuff? What's going on? Anyway, fast forward, I was able to, Kate Moss wanted to learn how to make non-alcoholic cocktails. I went and spent an afternoon with her showing her how to make non-alcoholic cocktails with Seedlip. That was fantastic.
That was pretty special.
The second aspect, on a completely different note, was the couple. And the father, the husband, I think he was stage 4 cancer, and obviously he was advised not to drink alcohol. And his wife wrote me this gorgeous email, and I don't know, I was like, I want to come see you. Can I come and talk to you? Can I come and meet you? Can I come and bring the Art of Distillation book from 1664 and tell you about the history and like meet your husband? And that kind of stuff is really important. I've spent time on the phone with some of our best customers from Sylva. I like responding to people who hate our product and asking them what we could do better. And those first customers are so important. They are, again, a bit like the team that join earliest, taking the biggest risk. Your first customers are the biggest risk takers. And they're the ones to absolutely hold on to, because there's something in their mindset, psyche, and time and place that means they really, really love or want to support what you're doing. And I mean, they're free ambassadors, right? They are basically word of mouth people who are giving you money. I mean, what a winner.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you absolutely nurture and look after them?
Yeah, and the power of an endorsement is like 10 times.
It is.
20 times someone seeing an ad or whatever.
It is. So it means, for example, that those first amazing people are the people that get the little sample of the next release before anyone else does. They're the people that we sent, a survey to. What could we do better? What did you love? Where did you find it? And they give their time. And so, yeah, they're really important, those first customers. You never forget them. Both the trade ones, but also the general public.
Very cool. Should we go and do your biggest lessons doing this?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Ben, how many years have you been doing this now? 10 or so years?
12 years.
12 years. Over all that time, what's the kind of biggest lesson you've learned?
Probably the biggest takeout that gives me the most confidence, I guess, is that if you create something of quality that has meaning and relevance to enough people, you can have a fantastic business. If you create something that is not great quality, or you create something that might be absolutely incredible but completely irrelevant or completely meaningless to a load of people, I don't think they're the signals to be able to have a great business. And so I am biased on product first, and I am biased on premium and quality. But I think you've got to be meeting a need in people's lives. And if you're not, and if you can't articulate what that need is, I think you need to go back to the drawing board, or I think you need to pivot or adapt or find that need, because that need will direct everything. And I feel very privileged that because people didn't have great non-alc options, or because people don't maybe understand enough about neurodiversity, we've got really, really clear needs, and that gives us really, really clear goals.
Really cool. What's your favorite moment doing this?
Oh. I first met my wife when we were 20, so 22 years ago. And then we lost touch for 15 years. And the reason that we got back in touch, the reason that I have 3 gorgeous daughters, and a wonderful wife is because of Seedlip. Literally because of that product, we were reintroduced to each other. And so that is absolutely priceless.
Conversely, what has been the lowest moment doing this?
I remember being in Singapore airport on a board call, being hurried through security because I was running late for the plane. We just finished showcasing Seedlip at the World's 50 Best Bar Awards in Singapore, all kind of very, very glamorous. And on this board call, we were discussing the fact that we just realized we had £1 million working capital hole in our business. And ultimately that we were in real trouble. And I remember crying on the phone. And I had to leave the call because I was getting on the plane. And sort of the solutions and the what were we going to do next, I didn't get to because I was sat on the plane. And so I sat on the plane for the next few hours, absolutely terrified. And really annoyed that I hadn't seen this. Really annoyed that my dreams might crumble. Really annoyed that we're in this situation. And we worked our way out of it, and it was okay. But that was the only moment I've had in the last 12 years where I really did genuinely think that my whole world might crumble.
Incredible. Is it worth it, this journey? Like, it sounds like, there's been some great highs, there's been some pretty bad lows. Like, is it worth it? And kind of how do you feel every day? Do you still feel the same every day? Like, are you satisfied? Are you happy?
There's probably a day a week where I don't want to do this still. And there's a day a week where I think it's rubbish and I'm not sure why I'm doing it. It's too much effort. It's too hard. Maybe it's going to fail. And I tell my team this, it's usually how I start a team meeting is basically whether it's a good day or a bad day.
Yeah.
Whether I want to do the business or I don't. So I don't hide it from my team. And I also don't act on it. But now I guess I'm learning that I don't make any big decisions when I'm like that. I don't try and finish any big pieces of work. I don't take any interviews. I'm kind of learning how to navigate around that. Most of the time, I'm absolutely 100% focused, driven, excited, fully committed to everything that I'm doing. I sat yesterday, we recorded 4 episodes for the podcast with 2 of the world's leading experts in autism. Absolute brain expanding, hard interviews in that sense. Up at 5, tiptoeing around the house. It's dark. I didn't want to wake the kids. But it's worth it. I want to do that. And so, I am happy. And not all the time. And that's okay. And I've got my family, which are the most important thing to me. I've got great brands, products and liquids that I'm really proud of, and a community with the hidden 20% that I just don't want to let down. And I guess this is where I get to on all of this, is getting to this place, and this is what I'd hope for everybody, of being able to get to a place where you don't want to let it down. And to not let good ideas down.
Is purpose important in this as well, and in the hidden 20% and stuff? Because, how is that important to you?
It is. I mean, I've never worked for a corporate company. I've never been in a big office. I have to know that the two most important things to me are why and how. Not what, not when, but why and how. Like the why, the context, the reason, the strategy. Like, why have we chosen that ingredient? Why are we doing it that way? Why that customer? I said no to this morning to my team going, I think we should enter these awards. I said, why? So yeah, the why is really important, and the why is a really useful ladder for a monologue. Anyone listening, I'd like, why didn't, yeah, but why? Why? You worry about the hows, etc. second, but yeah, the purpose really is important to me, and I guess it's important modeling or example I would like to set for my kids as well. That don't just say yes to stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, the best way to build a brand is 2 words, not yet. The more you say that, the clearer you are in your principles and closer you stick to your compass and why you're doing what you're doing, I think the better outcomes you'll get.
What are you optimizing for?
I think my brain is built. Being autistic means my brain is absolutely built based on efficiency and optimization. And so I hate wasted time. Not in a, oh my God, we've got to be so productive all the time. And actually, I think I find great value in having time, long drives, walking in the woods. That is not unproductive time to me. It's very important to have that time and space. And I have learned really well, and I would challenge anyone to do this. It sounds really obvious. Don't ever do a presentation in one sitting, ever. It will always be your worst presentation. You've got to have a few bites at it. You've got to come back to it. You've got to give it some breathing room. And the only other thing I'd say is, from an optimization perspective, when Seedlip launched, when Sylva launched, when the Hidden 20% launched, I didn't really know what the purpose was. I didn't have the spiel locked down. I thought Seedlip people wanted to hear about distillation. They fucking didn't. I thought with Sylva, people wanted to hear about sonic maturation. They didn't. They wanted to hear about sipping something and slowing down and how amazing trees are. And so brands don't live in decks, purposes don't live on a piece of paper.
They reveal themselves.
They do, and you've got to back yourself that things will clarify. But it takes time, and I think that's part of that we're just sorting out our Hidden 20% LinkedIn page, or profile pictures, or bio, or all these little tweaks, or Pantone colors for Sylva. Like, you can make all these improvements after you launch. And it's not about, I don't believe in this MVP, launch something that's a bit shit and then make it better. I absolutely only want to launch something that I 100% think is the best it can be. But I am realistic enough to know that the chances are pretty high that we'll be able to make it better in the future.
Let's talk about weekly routine.
Okay.
Do you have a weekly routine? Do you have a daily routine?
So
do you work 9 to 5? Do you just work the mornings? Do you go sauna and ice bath or jump in the river?
So I love routines. Having children and routines is an interesting mix, and you have to be a bit more adaptable. I only really drink 2 drinks, and that's sort of, 3 actually. I drink coffee, I drink a smoothie, and I drink water. I don't have a big repertoire of kind of drinks that I drink. I don't have lots of, have any wearables. I don't track any of my kind of body data, sleep data, anything like that. I try and make big decisions in the mornings. I try and keep Monday and Friday meeting light. I try and have meetings in the afternoon, and use the mornings when my brain's at its best to do the work I need to do rather than meetings. I attend as few meetings as possible. I want meetings to be as short as possible, but I am also a big fan of a 2-hour phone call. So I like chatting things through when they can not be based on, we've only got 5 minutes left, or we've got another meeting. Some of the best marketing decisions we made on Seedlip came out of 3-hour long rambling conversations with Ben, who is our head of marketing. Because when you're doing new things, they have to be talked through. Like you have to kind of bash them about a bit. You have to give them space and breathing room rather than make them all into a process and an outcome and a goal and a set of KPIs. New things don't jar well with that kind of stuff. Yeah, sure, you need that structure. You can get that structure. Trying to think what else I do. I don't.
Do you work on the weekends?
I don't work on weekends. I don't. I am there 9 times out of 10 for my kids in the morning. I'm there 9 times out of 10 for my kids in the evening. I do travel, but not as much as I used to. And actually, because I don't want to travel as much, I build more capacity into my team so that they can travel too. And the one thing I now, I guess, and this is partly back to the optimization piece, is just making sure I'm not in the way and making sure I'm not holding things up and making sure that things don't only rely on me. Doing that faster than I did at Seedlip. Which seems to be working. Yeah.
And do you work out or do anything like that, or?
No, I mean, I've got 3 dogs. I spend a lot of time outside. My view of exercise is taking out, blanket weed for 2 hours from the lake, for example. Which is a huge workout and can leave you very sore. But getting in waders and lifting, to me is good. And then if you've got children, you know that that's a workout in itself. So no, I haven't managed to find a way to build in sport that I used to love as a kid or exercise. I'm still trying to find the way to build that into a routine that's not the odd game of paddle or, a long walk.
What about books? A lot of people talk about books in this. You got to read this book, changed my life. You did have a couple of books that changed your life.
Yeah.
Anything else there? Like, are you a big reader? Is there any media that you consume that's like been life-changing?
So I'm a big collector of books.
Okay.
So I've got over 4,000 books. And there's a Japanese concept that I have forgotten the name of. That's the idea that it's actually really nice or nicer to own books than read them. So I have a lot of books. I get sent a lot of books. We did publish the Seedlip cocktail book, so I have published a book. I'm writing a book as well. And I read a lot of books on holiday, but I don't read a lot in the week. I don't read fiction. I only read non-fiction. The non-fiction will likely be about the special interests that I have. So for example, the books that I read on holiday were all about trees or the history of the hedgerow. I don't want to do anything that's not relevant or useful. But if you join Seedlip, you were given 3 books. Everybody that joined Seedlip was given 3 books. One of them was called Do Purpose, written by David Hyatt. Very short, very simple, purpose-led brands. One was called Third Plate by Dan Barber, all about flavor, provenance, and how we used to grow things for flavor and nutrition, and how maybe we've lost that. And then the third one, which probably is my all-time favorite book, The Brutal Simplicity of Thought by M&C Saatchi. You don't even need to buy it. You don't need to read it. The concept is so brilliantly simple. It's really, really hard to make things simple. People tell you kiss and keep it simple. Forget that. It's really hard to make things simple. It requires a lot of effort, and so most people don't. But the way to make things sticky, the way to make ideas travel, the way to build great businesses is to put yourself in the mind of a consumer who doesn't give a shit about what you're doing, who doesn't have time to read about what you're doing, who doesn't want to know all the backstory. So you've got to make it simple for them. And that's really, really important. And so that was really, really important when you're in a fast-growing business. There's loads of distractions. There's loads of competing priorities. You're having to be absolutely ruthless with how you prioritize. And therefore, to communicate what's important has to be made so brutally simple. Not dumbed down, but really, really simple. And so I only have 1 to 2 max priorities for each of my projects. That's the main thing. I have to keep that the most important thing. And it's a constant back and forth through a to-do list. It's a constant back and forth through an inbox, or to kind of reprioritize so that everything lands and points at the same main thing time and time and again.
Incredible. That is so valuable. I'm gonna link to those books. We'll do a breakdown of this, all the frameworks and things you talked about.
Great.
And we'll give that away in my next newsletter. So we'll make sure that's all in there.
Thank
a
you.
link in the description. To the person who's watched this and they're just pumped, they loved it, they want to create their own brand, maybe even to like your younger self 10, 12 years ago, what would be that one message you'd like to leave them with?
So many cliches in this sort of side of things. I think I'm fortunate that I talk to a lot of founders or a lot of people who are starting businesses, and yes, there are the like industry terms or industry specific questions. But I think so much of actually what I say to people, which is slightly counterintuitive, is all the bad stuff. This is going to be really fucking stressful. You're going to want to give up. It is going to exhaust you and challenge you more than anything else. The chances are extremely high that you're going to fail. 90% of food and drink businesses fail in the first year. So the odds are so stacked against you. Therefore, tell me what delusional sense of belief, commitment, forget about the product, forget about what you're doing. Can you make sacrifices? Are you resilient? If you can do those 2 things, you'll be golden. Rather than the kind of, just do it, just give it a go, you might fail, it doesn't matter. I wish someone, not that it would have stopped me, but I wish someone would have said that to me, that chances are really high you're going to fail. I'm not saying you're going to, but the chances are really, really high. So you have to be slightly unhinged to want to do this, because every single founder will tell you that it's fucking hard and it's stressful, etc., and you make lots of mistakes, etc., etc. So you've got to be prepared.
Absolutely incredible advice. Let's wrap it there. It's been so much fun spending the day with you.
Thanks for coming out here.
And yeah, just thanks for sharing absolutely everything. It's been like an incredible experience.
No, it's great. I mean, it's I'm taking away, why the fuck am I doing this again? So yeah, thanks for the reminders.
If you enjoyed this episode with Ben, I think you're going to love my episode with Marissa, the co-founder of Perfect TED. You can check it out here and click to watch next.